The Internet Show was a documentary produced by Compaq and made for PBS back in 1994. Now I know in 1994 the internet was still pretty new back then and people were just starting to learn it, but this documentary is just cheesy on so many levels, aside from the fact that it's old. The motif of the cover and of the whole documentary is supposed to be driver's education for the information superhighway. And on the cover you've got a car in the shape of a computer mouse that says student driver. And there's lots of stupid street signs all over, like easy access or email ahead merge or network yield, downloading ahead. I also love how on the back of the box, the very last sentence describing the internet says, it's cutting edge, fat-free, and fun. Oh yeah, sure, it's fat-free, but what they don't tell you is the calories. You see, that's what gets you. The show is hosted by John Levine and Gina Smith, who apparently write all kinds of books and columns about the internet. Now, Gina's kind of more of the uptight person who wants to get all over John, and John is more of the clown who just wants to have fun. Now, they do their best to explain the internet to people by dumbing it down with geek speak. Basically, whenever they say a word that has to involve with the internet that people might not understand, they sound the geek speak alarm.
We'll sound the nerd alert.
Now, it makes sense for some of them, but most of these words they just make up, like internet. Now, I might not have known that much about the internet in 1994, but I'm pretty sure that I've never heard anyone use the term internet.
Internet is the cyberspace equivalent of an astronaut.
One of the many gems of comedic gold in the Internet Show is a scene where John goes on a chat board. On the chat board, he notices someone asking, how many telephone lines are there in this area? John states, well, I don't know the answer, but I want to tell everyone.
Maybe it's right, maybe it's not, but I want to tell everyone.
He's basically telling you can post false information on the internet just because you have the freedom to. There's a really hilarious scene too when John holds up a sign saying, show me your email address, as they drive by all these organizations who show them their email address. The only thing missing from the scene is Gina passing out Mardi Gras beats. The one thing I hated the most about this documentary is that it really doesn't teach you to learn the internet. It's more of just internet success stories that they tell from around the world. And they're kinda good. Like, I can understand why you'd want to promote your business on the internet, or how a school can use the internet to study better, but there's some really gross stuff, like this old woman who wants to find love on the internet. Do we really need to know about this?
I happened to post an ad, actually, to one of the listservs called Alt Personals, and I had about 40 people answer my ad. Men.
Gross! There's also just some weird dialogue that I don't even want to explain.
Come on, kid, you're 6 months old. You can make it without a cigarette.
Oh.
Well, tastes vary, but you get the idea. Let's say you're into world travel, or bird watching, or making beer.
Or maybe you're into nude sunbathing.
I hoped you weren't going to mention that.
Now you may be asking yourself, how well does this documentary hold up over time? Well, not very well, because about 60% of the material on this tape is dated. And not only that, but it fails to address the real issues of the internet, like piracy and viruses. Now, I know it was pretty low-key at that time, but they actually do mention viruses in this video for like a split second. They just sort of glaze over all these issues. Worst of all, this documentary really doesn't teach you how to use the internet at all. It doesn't show you how to connect. It doesn't show you how to get in touch with your ISP. It basically just wastes your time saying, oh, you can use email for this, you can use the internet for that. It's more like one of those little segments you'd see on Nightline. But you know what the worst part of this documentary is? The whole information superhighway motif is just gonna confuse the fuck out of people. And that's really all I can say about it. So, until next time, I'll see you on the information superhighway. Vroom, vroom.